We're back, still in Montana, in the Bitterroot Mountains at Alpine Falls Ranch. And when you're in Montana and it snows this much, as it's doing today, you need a special rig to get around, and we're here with a Can-Am Defender Limited HD10 with a really cool modification. These came from Can-Am, set of tank tracks. They transform the way that the Can-Am handles in both good ways and bad. If you're on gravel or tarmac, they don't really work very well. The rig tracks and wiggles around. But out here, when there's a blizzard coming down, there's really no way else to get around. It doesn't quite change your Can-Am into a snowmobile, but the things that this thing will do with these tracks on it is absolutely ridiculous. As you can see, I mean, just right off the bat, the weight distribution that you get from the tracks is incredible. So you float up on top of the snow as opposed to sinking down into it. You get an extra, what is that, foot of ground clearance. And that really just keeps you up out of the deep stuff. Now, we don't have a ton of deep powder today. It's mostly just kind of icy hard pack, but the traction is incredible. I don't think we've slipped once, and we've driven all around this farm so far. We're gonna take you around the rig and just show you what's going on with it. Basically, it's a Defender Limited HD10 four-door, but with these tracks on it. So let's take a look at how they attach.
Action.
All right, let's take a look at how these tracks attach to the Can-Am. What's really cool about it is that there's not much modification that you have to do. Everything bolts right on and comes off easily, so you can switch between wheels and tracks in the space of about an hour if you have a couple guys doing it. They're not very light, which is probably the biggest issue with getting them attached, but otherwise it's super simple. Come around this side, let me show you. All right, so in here it's a little hard to see from afar, but these are just your standard Can-Am lug nuts, and that bolts right to the hub. So you've got your standard Can-Am disc brakes, your standard spindle, everything on this side is track and everything on that side is Can-Am. Now, to give you a little bit of control and so the tracks don't just flop and wander around, come around this side and I'll show you how they handle that. So for one thing, you've got these limiting straps which keep the steering from getting away from you. And there's basically an extra control arm that's made out of steel plate that bolts onto the top and bottom of the existing control arms and then bolts to this little strut in here, which acts both as suspension and, again, more steering control. But as you can see, this all just kind of comes off. This is the ball joint, the standard Can-Am ball joint, and nothing is physically attached to it. It's just sort of mounted beneath it. And then there's another ball joint here to control the track. That's it. As I said, it takes about an hour to get all four of them on. The front's a bit more complicated than the back thanks to the steering, but again, around back, we've got the same deal. Same standard lug nuts, and then the same additional control arm beneath, and a little piece of plate that bolts on. That's it, guys. Now the tracks aren't light, as I said. You'll need a couple of guys to put them on just to maneuver them into place. Someone who's strong can probably do it by themselves, but we attached these with a couple extra guys the last time we were here at Alpine Falls in June. And again, with a jack stand and a couple of guys, it took about an hour. So really, that's no time when you consider you do it once in November if you live out here, and don't take them off again until the spring. Let's check out how they drive.
Action.
All right, we're here. Steve Politis is back with us, and he's brought out a snow groomer for us. These are the trails at Black Bear Ranch, which is the other side of the road from Alpine Falls, and they've got a lot of trails out here for snow machines and tracks side by side. So Steve, what is this thing and what can you tell me about it?
So this is a Snowmaster. It's a 72-inch wide groomer. We groom the trails for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobile touring, and side-by-sides. So it does a really good job putting down what the ski area would call a corduroy.
Okay.
But yeah, it makes it super smooth, easier to ride on, and really kind of just gives the guests a pathway of where they're going on the trails.
Sweet, so tell me what a corduroy is and how this achieves it.
So essentially, the corduroy would be the grooves right here. Okay. And what we've got weights in the back, so there's sandbags in the back. You've got fins off the side, and that's what's laying it down. and then there's like a tiller in the front, and the tiller in the front kind of turns the snow and levels everything out.
Okay, so it's basically like a snow cone.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
cool. And you just drive it around? Is there anything to it?
Nothing to it.
Just drive it and pull it. Okay.
Pull it.
Well, let's jump in and see if we can't groom this trail up here. It looks like it needs it with the new snow.
Sounds good.
All right, let's groom a trail.
I got this.
Taking off with the snow razor, doing a little grooming. Steve, you were telling me earlier how this thing works. Describe again kind of what it does as we pull it over this fresh powder that's falling.
Sure. So the first bar that it hits, kind of, it heats up in almost like a road grader, and it'll fill in any of the paths from the track vehicles, and then the second lays out the corduroy. So you kind of get the best of both worlds there, and makes a really nice surface to do your cross-country skiing, UTV on. It just does a really good job of like maintaining the trails.
Cool. So at like a ski resort or a cross-country place, are they pulling these things behind UTVs most of the time, or like you see them behind tractors? What's the normal go?
So normally, at a ski area, you see it behind a snowcat. And on the snowcats, it's not a bar in the front, it's an actual tiller in the front.
Okay.
That's kind of heating and churning the snow up and then laying it out. But this is a great way to do it for, for small ranches, or anywhere where you're trying to make nice cross-country trails or something like that for guests to come enjoy the trails.
Okay, cool. And it'll go like anywhere this rig will go?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a matter of, how deep that first comb is, and how much snow you're going to be pulling. But we've had it up into, about a foot of powder before, and it does a really nice job.
How long do you spend on average dragging this thing around to groom a trail like the trail network here at Black Bear?
So, it doesn't take us very long. Typically you would do it at nighttime, and that way it freezes up.
Okay.
So it's really nice in the morning, and you're not gonna kind of destroy it as you go down it. Just something that I help the ranch out with, and whenever they need it, but not particularly what I do. I just help the ranch get these things going and help them get it set up, so that way we can bring in a little bit of a different clientele for the winter time.
Cool. Yeah. Well, what's incredible to me is even without skis on the front, this UTV is just eating this up. It's just like there's, I don't think I've had any worry about where we can and can't go all morning.
Absolutely. No, it's super good. You can go either way here.
I mean, just with the tracks on it, it's a little bit easier to deal with than a set of wheels.
Right. Yep. Yeah, they really just, I don't know that wheels would make it through here.
Yep.
But with the tracks on it, they really do an amazing job.
So how deep of powder snow can you take these tracks in? Obviously it's like 7 or 8 inches of fresh stuff, and
yeah, I would say, without the groomer, you could definitely get into a few feet. I'd say, 2 feet is probably, you could rip through it pretty nice. The groomer's obviously going to hold you back at something like that. The ideal situation is where you continue to groom, and that way you're continually packing that trail down.
Okay, so
All right, if you like this kind of content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to us. We post every Saturday, and you should click the bell to be notified. Thanks for watching.
Wow.